So today on the episode of Mythbusters, Adventure Endeavor style,
we're gonna be, I almost said it the wrong way. We're gonna be mything some busts.
busting some myths.
Yeah, we're gonna be busting some myths. I almost said it the wrong way, so then I was like, it'd be funny.
If you did actually say it the wrong way?
Yes. So anyways, on this video, we're gonna be busting some myths. Lots of times in the RV world, or just in general, from people who don't know too much about RVs, will say, oh, you can't this, or oh, you have to this, or this should be like that. Well, some of those things may be true, but a lot of them are not. So we're gonna kind of go through some of the common myths and give you our thoughts on them and bust them, I guess?
Sure.
Sure. Let's go.
All right, myth number 1. RVing is expensive. Yes, it can be. But let me tell you, there are multiple ways to do this life. Whether you're part-time, full-time, just a weekend warrior, there are so many different types of rigs out there. It doesn't have to be super cost prohibitive to just get into this type of travel style. You know, you can stay at really fancy, expensive RV parks, or you can stay at state parks, which tend to be a lot less expensive, or you can set yourself up for some sweet boondocking like we're doing right now and camp for free.
So this is a pretty good one. RV maintenance is a pain. Well, yeah, any maintenance is a pain. Whether you live in a house or an RV, you're gonna have stuff that breaks constantly either way. We know because we own both. We have a house that is constantly breaking, and we have an RV that is constantly breaking. Is it a pain? Maybe. I mean, it's relative. We get phone calls for our house, say, hey, this broke, gotta fix it. And I get wife calls on this hand saying, you know, this broke, you gotta fix it. So is it a pain? Yes, all maintenance is a pain. So myth busted, I guess. Another big thing with RV maintenance is don't let your RV sit. Lots of times people go to an RV park for 6-8 months, which is cool, which is fine, but you're gonna worry about tires, you're gonna worry about batteries, you're gonna worry about seals, you're gonna worry about plumbing. If you're using it, if it's rolling down the road and doing what it's supposed to be doing, it's gonna stay more well-maintained just on its own.
Myth number 3, you can't live full-time in an RV. I don't know who came up with this one, but it's definitely not true, obviously, because we've been doing it for 2 years straight almost now. You know, where you can park your RV when you're living in it full-time, that's up for debate. There's a lot of places where you're not going to be able to park it, but a lot of places like in the middle of Quartzsite, Arizona, where you can, and you can stay here for up to 6 months if you go to the long-term visitor area and get a special permit. So it mostly all depends on where you are at.
Myth bustin'.
Number 4.
You can't RV with pets. This is a kind of a funny one to me. I just don't really get it. Obviously you can. We have 2 dogs. We go everywhere. Dogs are allowed in RV parks. They're allowed in state parks, most of them. You're allowed, obviously, in boondocking. I don't get it.
I think it's a lot easier to travel with a pet in an RV than it is to stay in hotels and travel with a pet, you know, because you're fully self-contained inside your rig. And, you know, I've seen plenty of people that we know that do this with cats because they don't want to leave their cats at home, and their cats don't like to be... Exactly. Adventure cats, you know, people come out and walk their cats on a leash, but it's just so much easier to travel with a pet in an RV than any other way of travel, in our opinion.
You can bring all their stuff, and they have a nice place to sleep.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that people say.
Myth number 5, RVing is for old people.
Well, I guess we're considered old then.
I guess so.
I mean, 34 years young, it's not really old in my opinion. We've been living in our RV for 2 years, traveling the country, working, doing it all at the same time, really enjoying life, having a great time. So to say that RVs are for old people, that's kind of crazy.
I think it's an old stereotype because, you know, traditionally RVing was a little bit more for old people, but it's definitely changed a lot in the last 5 to 10 years. So everybody of all ages is doing this lifestyle now.
Busted. So this is something we hear and something that we actually experienced when we first started. RVing is lonely. To flat out say that RVing is lonely is just kind of a myth, because we thought that until we started to look into it and we found different clubs. We met a lot of people through Instagram, And now we're almost always with fellow RVers, some our age, some older, some younger. It doesn't really matter. Basically, all you need to know is that if you want to find people, you want to find community, it's possible and they are out there.
Yeah, we highly recommend joining the Escapers Club. This is a community for working-aged RVers like ourselves, and there are normally tons of meetups throughout the year, but it is just a great community to be a part of. And you're also never going to be alone if you've got your Mr. Smiley Face friend out here.
Don't be lonely, be happy.
Alright y'all, the next myth is that you can't work while RVing. I'm not gonna lie to you, this one isn't always easy, but it's definitely possible. I've been working from the road for 2 years straight now. The internet has definitely changed everything. I mean, now we can get internet on the road with cell data, and you know, we have cell phones everywhere. So literally, like, the internet has completely changed the RV world in the last, what, 20, 30 years? It's totally different than it used to be. So you just gotta be, what's the word? You gotta be an informed consumer, and you gotta be on top of your work, but it's totally possible. Don't let that discourage you.
So apparently, people think that RVs are roughing it. Well, when was the last time you went camping and had fridge, freezer, sink, bathroom, TV, lights, bed, mattress, covers, pillows? Exactly. RVing is really not roughing it, and like we stated on some of our previous videos, we're looking into getting into a smaller RV because we actually miss camping. We don't feel like RVing is roughing it. Yes, there are some subtle changes in comparison to living in a sticks and bricks, a normal house, but overall, we have everything we need. We are very comfortable, and it's all good.
Yeah, it feels like, in comparison to camping, that we are living in luxury. Does not feel like camping
I feel spoiled.
at all to us. That's our personal opinion.
Here's another good one. You can't take RVs into cities. So I would say that part of this is not true.
It's partially a myth, partially true.
No, it's definitely not true. So you can totally take almost any RV into cities. You just need to be very careful, and you need to plan your route. Some cities are more difficult than others. Some are very easy. I mean, we have taken ours into multiple cities, 2 different rigs, 2 different fifth wheels. We like to use certain apps to make sure that there's no low bridges. That tends to be the major issue. And just keep it simple, and if you're going into the city, you're more than likely going to be going to your RV park where you're going to stay. So map it out and plan your route and go to your RV park, drop your RV, and then you can go do whatever you like in the city.
Yeah, we like to use RV Parky because they have a feature that'll actually show you where low bridges have been reported and what the height is. So that's a good tip to check. And also, having a trucker GPS is never a bad idea if you know you're going to be traveling through areas that have a lot of low bridges. It'll help you out a lot. The last myth that we're going to cover today is that you have to stay at an RV park. This is absolutely false. We are in the middle of the desert right now. You can see this guy right here is our neighbor. We're not in an RV park. You don't have to stay in one. I did mention earlier, you can boondock, you can stay in state parks, and you can stay in an RV park or an RV resort if that's your style, but you really don't have to. We boondock 99% of the time, so definitely a myth.
We didn't stay in an RV park at all last year. At all.
No, we didn't.
We stayed in one campground and one state park.
2 campgrounds.
One campground and one state park.
Yes.
But that's it, guys. These are the myths. These are the things that you hear from people who more than likely have never been in an RV and just like to say stuff. So we wanted to bust these myths and give you guys a little bit of knowledge on this subject, so you don't have to be nervous about those things that aren't true, I guess.
We feel that we're pretty well versed in this subject by now, and you would hope so after 2 years traveling. But anyway, we hope that you learned something from this video, and we hope that we helped, set your fears aside. So, if you're thinking about RVing, go ahead and give it a shot. Don't be afraid. Just go for it.
Thanks for watching.